I'm delusional. Everything about me and everything I've ever gotten has been because of my delusion, regardless of other people being like, Sharik, that's literally insane. But I'm like, why is it insane? You haven't seen it done before? Okay, cool, I'll be the first to do it.
In this episode, we're speaking with Sharik Atkinson, a film writer and director whose journey is as inspiring as it is impressive. Keep watching to hear her unique perspective as a queer Jamaican immigrant navigating the film industry. I'm here with film writer and director Sharik Atkinson. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Course. I'm really excited to talk to you today. Your journey has been so inspiring to where you are now. And I want to use it to talk about the mindset that I think one has to have the courage to believe that they can do anything they put their mind to, no matter how crazy their goals might sound, you know? So we'll go from the beginning. You started off your professional career as a teacher, which is really different from the field that you're in now.
Super insane, yeah.
Yeah, so can you walk us through that transition out of your teaching job and into the film industry and why you chose to do this?
Yeah, totally. So back in the COVID year, right before that, I had graduated college in 2019, December 2019. So then January comes, I moved to New York. I'm like, this is gonna be so great. It's gonna be so fun. Like, I, at that time, was working in advertising. I've always known I wanted to be in film, but I was like, can't really figure out a way in, and like my trade is like social media, so I was like, okay, like I'll do this. I got laid off from my very first job out of college. Then I had to move back to Orlando, which was hectic, because I had just moved here, and I was living at home, and both of my parents are educators, and they were like, well, you could teach for a year if you'd like, and I was like, that sounds like hell on earth, simply, but I need money, so sure. So I was a 21-year-old middle school teacher, which is like so insane because I'm teaching like 14-year-olds, and they're like, you could be my big sister. Like, what do you mean you're teaching me? So that was insane. I think that year taught me so much like patience, because I was really like, I could not care any less about this job. I don't want to be doing this. I know I want to be in film. I know I want to be in entertainment. So what I did is throughout that year, I researched every single day. I went on LinkedIn. I sent out emails. I was just trying to really learn what it is that I need to do in order to get in the film industry. And there were so many times that I was like, you know what, like I'm just going to quit this job now. But then my parents were like, Sharik, you need money. And that's the reality of it, is like, yes, you have a dream, but you also need to survive. So then I just stayed at the job until the end of the year, and the second that the year ended, I was like moved back up to New York City within 5 days of the school year ending. I had hit the ground running with like meetings with people and just like asking anyone and everyone like, hey, do you know anyone that works in film? Do you know how to get into film? And then one day I was just applying to jobs, and I was literally on like my last $1,000. And I was like, oh my God, like if I don't get a job in film, what am I going to do? I cannot afford to live in New York City anymore. And I'd applied for this job I randomly found on LinkedIn. It was at the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade Studio. And it was as their production assistant. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go for it. Cause like obviously like the listing was like, you need experience, but I was like, I have no experience, but I can talk myself into anything. And they interviewed me, and they were like, we love you, we want to hire you. And so that's how I got into film.
I love that.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of the women who watch this show are in their 20s, early 30s, maybe just graduating and looking for jobs, right? And the job market right now is like really, really horrible.
Hectic,
it's really hard to find a job in general, let alone being fresh out of college and having little to no experience.
Literally.
So can you talk about having the courage to apply for jobs that you know you're not qualified for? And kind of the audacity that it takes to do this?
Absolutely. I have a little mantra that I always think about, and it is, what would a white man do? And it's they would usually do the thing that they are unqualified to do. They would speak on that panel that they don't have any idea what they're talking about, and they just make it up on the spot. So I'm like, why would I not go for these things? If someone else can do it, why can't I? And so I think like, when you're young, everyone is going to be like, you have to do this job for a year before you can even think about getting to that next level. but like there are steps to get the thing that you want, but you can absolutely leap if you want to, and quantum jump through any goal that you want, because like this universe is abundant. There are abundant steps. Not everyone's journey is the same, so why do you think that you have to go through these steps in order to get to the end goal?
Right.
Like you can absolutely get to that end goal, and you can find your own path there. So I think like as someone that was young and did not have any experience in what I wanted to do, I literally was just like, I was under the impression of like, well, there's no plan B. Like my plan A is going to work, and my plan A is to get into film and to be a production assistant and to work in film full time and then to be a director, and there's no plan B, so this needs to work.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I love that mantra.
Yeah.
And I think that's true about men in general, is like a lot of them really are very comfortable speaking about things that they know nothing about. Like very definitively.
Yeah. I'm like, you have that kind of audacity, why can't I?
Why can't I? No, that's a great way to think about it.
Yeah.
And you said that you can talk your way into anything.
Absolutely.
So I'm curious if you have any like practical advice on how you prepare for a job interview for a position that you know that you're not qualified for.
Oh, absolutely. It's so funny that you say that, because on TikTok a while back, I used to talk a lot about like interviewing and like how to get your dream job. And a few things that I would always say is like, one, like over prepare for an interview. You need to know this company inside and out. You also need to know everything about the person that you're going to be interviewing with. And then you will need to know what transferable skills you have that you're able to apply to this job. Because even if you don't have the specific experience they're looking for, if they're hiring a social media manager and you technically don't have any social media experience, but you took a graphic design class and you know about the color wheel and color theory, that's something you need to talk in depth about. Because, and don't necessarily bring up, oh, I don't have this experience, but you can say, you know, I'm really, really passionate about color theory. And so I think like being able to spin it into something that is a positive, and being able to spin it into like, okay, I might not be the exact person you're looking for with the exact experience, but here's what I do bring to the table. And I'm a big believer that like every job is teachable. Like you can teach me, if you're gonna, whoever gets this job, you're gonna teach them how to do it anyway. You're gonna teach them the system that you like to do it. So why wouldn't it be me?
No, that is so true.
Yeah.
And I love another quote that you mentioned in one of your videos, and it was, if you knew that you were 99 no's away from that one yes, how quickly would you go out chasing those no's?
Those no's, yep.
I think that is such a great way to think about things.
Yeah.
But how do you actually embrace this philosophy in your career? You know, because I think that's the real question, because these things are easier said than done at the end of the day.
Yeah, totally. No, I would say I am someone who will spam the hell out of someone if I know that this person has access to the thing that I want. I will spam, like, you can ignore me. You can say no, but you can't ignore me, is what I love saying. Because, ooh, you won't hear from me. You won't hear from me. And so I think it is that audacity to be a little annoying about your dream and be like, this is something I want. You're standing in this way of it, or you have access to it. So I need access to you in order to get to that thing. And so, yeah, I think it's a lot of like research and figuring out, okay, this is exactly what I want. I want this thing. I know this person has access to this person who has access to this thing. And just kind of learning like the network of people around, because every industry is a people industry. And you need to know like this thing that you want, someone has access to it. So yeah, I think it really is just that audacity to be told and kind of go after what you want and be okay if the answer is no, because someone will give me a yes, and it doesn't have to be you. It can just be someone else who's meant to give me that yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I'm delusional. I am one delusional ass girl. Like everything about me and everything I've ever gotten has been because of my delusion. And so I am always gonna go for what I want, regardless of other people being like, Sharik, that's literally insane. But I'm like, why is it insane? You haven't seen it done before? Okay, cool, I'll be the first to do it.
No,
like,
I love that.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that mindset that you have. And I love something that you just said, that all industries are people industries. I used to have a professor in college who would tell us that companies are just people.
Yep.
So like honestly developing your people skills and learning how to just build a network and talk to people and sell yourself to people, that's really the key, and you've
huge.
really mastered that.
Yeah.
So you quit your job as a teacher
Yep.
and you moved into the film industry as a production assistant.
Yeah.
So what was it like being a PA?
Being a PA was hard work. It was necessary work, I will say. I think when you're a production assistant in film, you are pretty much at the bottom of the totem pole. So the way people talk to you is demeaning, and the way people treat you is demeaning. So you kind of have to have a really thick skin because you're on sets with people who have minimal sleep, who are like lifting heavy things, and like you're just a PA to them. They're not seeing you as anything with value or as they're seeing your position as completely replaceable, because PAing is like the lowest level and the easiest job on set is what people say. In their eyes, exactly. So it was definitely difficult. I did it for a minute. I want to say a little over a year, honestly. And it was just me being on like different sets. And I was on Netflix and NBC sets and working 12 to 14 hours a day. And like, it was hell on my like physical body. But I think where my mental was in that state was so much like, this is just research. I'm here to learn. I'm here to, pick up on all I can pick up on, and I'm here to build my network in the film industry. And so I think from then I had such a tunnel vision of what I want that I was like, all right, I'm willing to do this because I don't know enough about film yet in order to execute my own stuff. So it's hard. It's really, really hard. Like, you actually have to be someone that's like very dedicated and like very hardworking to be able to do it. But I think it was necessary to be where I am right now.
Yeah. So while you were a production assistant, you started making content about this whole experience. And you've spoken about how you decided to really niche down your content and focus your entire platform on these film industry videos. So what inspired you to start making these videos? And do you feel like niching down your content aided your growth on social media?
Yeah. So I do think niching down my content aided my growth for sure. And I realize that's because the film industry has such a lack of access. It is a people industry to an extreme in the fact that you don't look things up online to like find a job as a PA on like the Gilded Age. It is all who you know. It is literally like, to this day, I get jobs by people texting me. Like, there's nothing that goes online. And so that lack of access it's so difficult for someone that's just starting in the film industry. And a lot of times there are people that look like you and me that don't know anyone and have like traditionally been kind of kept out of these spaces. Because I've been on sets where I'm the only black woman, the only black person, the only person of color. And so like, because it's all like who you know, and like diversity isn't always prevalent in everyone's friend groups. And so if you're hiring your friends that look like you, then you're not going to have anyone that doesn't look like you that actually looks like me and you. So
that's a great point.
Yeah, it was really, really a way to provide that access that I didn't get, and just like make it easier for the next person that wants to be in film and wants to, go into writing or directing or producing that looks like me, to be able to see, hey, this is what I do day to day. Hey, here's actually a job that I just found out about that you can do so that you can start doing what I do. Because I really saw that missing, specifically on TikTok. And I was like, all right, well, I'm just going to share my day to day with people. And they really enjoyed it.
Yeah, absolutely. And not only is it helping other people, but it also helps you get new opportunities. You spoke about your transition into your role as a full-time social media director for the film industry. So can you talk more about how your platform on TikTok helped you land this job?
Yeah. So I was working at this production company, and essentially I once again applied on LinkedIn. And in the interview, they basically told me, like, they looked at my TikTok and they were just like blown away because I built this platform around the film industry, and you'd really be surprised about how little like influencers there are that are specifically niched on film, like that specifically talk about film. So yeah, I think like they saw, okay, she knows what she's talking about. She knows social media, because once again, that's my trade. That's what I went to school for. And so they're like, okay, so she went to school for this and she works in film. She's worked on sets for years and she knows how to capture the essence of a movie and the essence of filmmaking in a 60-second clip. So yeah, that, and it was really, really, really great to get that job, because I was like, this is perfect. I've already been doing this. I'm there.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Yeah. So you've been managing social media accounts for years now, but managing social media accounts specifically for independent films, for series and production companies, this is sort of a new development for you.
Yeah.
So can you talk about some of the strategic differences between, and maybe some of the intersections between managing a social media account that's specifically for film versus for other industries?
Yeah, absolutely. So when it comes to like managing social media for film specifically, people know nothing about this director. They don't give a hoot who you are. They know nothing about this film, and sometimes these actors are brand new actors that they've never seen before. So essentially, you have to sell an idea to an audience that doesn't even know that's what they're looking for. I will say that doing socials for film is much more difficult than doing socials for any other industry, because other industries, like, there is a science to it, and like you definitely, like for instance, if I have a beauty product, I can just look at millions of case studies of other beauty products and beauty companies that are on social media. But when it comes to film, each film is so unique, and you have to build an entire strategy around these people, and you have to sell their why. You have to sell their story. You have to be like, hey, this person is a queer filmmaker who went to Fire Island to film a documentary. That's actually one of the accounts I'm working on now. And like, that was a really, like, each film is so specific and so individual that you have to cater to this audience and kind of build an audience persona from scratch. So it's very difficult, I will say. I think this has a lot more intricacies and nuances than any other industry that I've done social media in.
Yeah, and I can see why, because you have to really target or find a really specific target audience. So not only do you manage film social media accounts, but you also write and direct films yourself. And I had the pleasure of attending the premiere of your very first short film, Bollanga, which centers around a queer love story that takes like a sinister turn. So can you take us through the creative process behind the making of this film? Like, what inspired the concept, the themes, the script?
So funny enough, this actually came to me in a dream. I have very lucid dreams. I've always had very lucid dreams. I don't know if it's like a creative person thing, but I've always had, like, I see my dreams very clearly. So I woke up one morning in November and I had just had this dream, and it was the exact plot of the film. And I like shot out of bed and like I like reached for my phone and I like spoke it all out in detail.
Wow.
And then I just started writing, and I wrote the first iteration once again in November. It was absolute garbage, and I was like, this is insane, let me try this again. So I rewrote about 8 times, and then on the 8th one I was like, this kind of eats. I was like, this is kind of good. And that's kind of when I decided I wanted to produce it.
Wow.
And so I wrote it in November, we shot it in February, and it was done in May. So it was a pretty fast process. I think because I had already seen it in my dream, it was so clear to me exactly what I wanted to see when we were filming. So I was like, I have this vision. I know the people that I want to help me execute this vision, which was great because I've been on sets and I've been building my network. So I reached out to all my people. So we had about a 30-person crew, and we shot for 2 days, and it honestly came out so much better than I even saw it in my head.
Right.
Like, it was incredible.
Yeah,
It
and
was
I think
incredible.
that's the amazing thing about having a vision, going
Yeah.
into something with a vision already,
Yeah.
is it's going to exceed your expectations no
Absolutely.
matter what. How did you go about casting for Bodega?
Yeah, good question. So, in terms of casting, Ocean, I already knew that she was going to be my Eve. And as I was writing her, I was writing Eve as Ocean, because prior to this, me and Ocean had kind of talked about how she wanted to get into acting, and, you know, she'd done a lot of like modeling and influencing, but she's never really like acted. I was like, okay, period, girl. Like, and so I knew as I was writing her, like, I wanted someone that was like very like model-esque and fierce, but also kind.
Yeah.
And so I knew immediately
That is
that is literally her. So I wrote Eve as Ocean. And then when it came to Nora, that was a much harder role to cast, because we needed someone that is very kind and like looks very kind and is very like pretty, but can also play crazy. And that's not really easy to find, that kind of range in an actress. So that was a really hard role to cast. It took us a few weeks to find our Nora. Especially because I needed that person to be able to have chemistry with Ocean as well. And so that took quite a while. Yeah. And then we were casting for Deli Guy for probably a week and a half, because we really needed someone that,
he was
like,
great.
I love Carlos. Carlos he ate that role up. Oh my goodness. I'm so like, that is one factor of the film that absolutely exceeded my expectations.
Right, yeah.
Absolutely. Because, fun fact, the deli guy in the film is based on my actual deli guy.
Oh, really?
Who hits on me. Like, I'll be like in there holding a girl's hand, and he'll be like, "What's up, baby? Like, you look good today." And I'm like, "Do I look straight to you? You know I'm not interested, right?" And so he inspired Deli Guy. And so when I found Carlos, I was like, you're really good. And he took the script and he absolutely ran with it.
He must have brought it to life.
He brought it to life.
It was so realistic.
Right.
Yeah.
I think I have this photo of me on set just like holding in my laughter as he is like ad-libbing, because there were so many parts of that was improvised.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
And, and it's just like, he literally took my character and absolutely ran with it. And he was the best deli guy I could have ever worked with. It was insane.
That is so beautiful.
No, it really was. Yeah.
So what were your main strategies for promoting the short film? And how were you able to gain so much support for the premiere? Because the line at the door was literally wrapped around the block.
Yeah. No, it was insane. So it's very funny because, like, you know how I said I'm delusional? When I told like certain people in my life that I wanted to have like a 300 to 400 person premiere for my short film, they were like, "What?" They were like, "Why?" And I was like, "Why not?"
Yeah.
And I think it's because like I was like, this is my way of showing to the world, like, hey, this is me, this is the work I'm directing. Like, I love this project so much and I want to share it with my community so much that I'm going to host a literal film premiere with a red carpet, with drinks, with a live painter, with an after party, because I know that this is the start of something incredible. And so everyone was like, why don't you do like a 60-person thing? And I was like, why would I do that? And when I told like even my roommates, I was like, yeah, I'm thinking like 300 people. They were like, do you know 300 people? And I was like, don't worry about it. I was like, I'll find them. And find them I did.
And you did.
And I did, yeah. Because we had 300 people and like a 60-person wait list. And it was insane. It literally was insane. And so when it came to promoting, I've been promoting films for about a year now. I know exactly what to do. And so that's pretty much what I did. Like, I took to TikTok, and one of our first videos got like 10K views when I was talking about, I like used, Billie Eilish released her album at the right time. So I used the song Lunch with like one of the clips with like the tension between the two characters. And the internet ate that up.
Yeah.
And as I knew they would. So it was like I just really took the strategy that I was using for like my other clients and just applied it to this, and like I know the queer community really, really well. I specifically know the Black queer community really well, so I knew what they'd respond to. And we were sold out of our premiere 2 weeks before the event. So it was, it was incredible. It was really, really, really incredible.
That is awesome.
Thank you.
And speaking of speaking to your community, as a Jamaican immigrant and as a queer filmmaker, how do your identities influence the stories that you want to tell through your projects?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think like specifically being a queer Jamaican immigrant, there are so many nuances there. There really are so many nuances. So I think because of my varied experience, I'm able to tell stories from different perspectives. And I think that really helps me write a lot better.
Yeah.
Because like, as I'm writing this deli guy character, like the deli guy is someone, at least my personal deli guy, he barely speaks any English. So I'm assuming he's probably also an immigrant. And so I know what it's like to be an immigrant in a new country, and I'm able to write to that perspective. So I think like having all these different random perspectives that I come with, I'm able to like be more creative and have a more clear creative vision, because these are things that I've experienced, that I've lived before. So yeah,
that makes a lot of sense. And when you think about like writer's room, for example, of people who haven't even experienced certain things that they're writing
How
about.
are you writing about that?
Yeah.
That does not, like, how can you write about a Black queer woman if you only have white friends? What do you know anything about the Black queer struggle?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I think that's really what I try to do is, like, I'm going to write stories about things that, A, I care about, and B, resonate with me, because I know how to write them well. And why would I write someone else's story? Like, I'm going to write the stories that I know how to write.
And
so,
the stories that you don't necessarily see.
Exactly.
You've spoken about creating opportunities for yourself. And I know you're big on manifestation. So can you talk more about how you've been able to maintain this mindset of abundance and use manifestation to create opportunities for yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really difficult, to be honest. It is really hard to like kind of maintain that, and I think it takes like deliberate delusion to be able to be like, even though I feel like I'm in a place of lack right now, I know that the universe is abundant. And I think it's really about like the media you consume and the people you surround yourself with and the conversations you allow yourself to have, because it can take one word to crush everything that you've been building if you let it. So I think like I have such a mindset of abundance because I've seen it happen to me before, and I've seen it happen to other people. So even if no one else in my life believes that these things are going to happen, like if it's written on paper, it's happening. Like if I have manifested and visualized it, it's happening. So even if you don't see it, it's happening. And even if even if it doesn't happen the way that I thought it would, I know that it's happening the way it is because it's better than what I would have even imagined. So I think I've just seen it so many times. Like there's no reason for me to not be like, the law of attraction is real, manifestation is real, and the universe is abundant. And every single day we show up, we're creating our own world, and we're creating our own reality, and we're able to live in this beautiful, abundant reality and share it with these other people that we love. So there's no reason for me not to believe it. It happens. And it shows even in like the House of Yes premiere, because like we packed out House of Yes, and like the delusional thing is like I literally reached out to them and I was like, hey, please, can I please have this event here? And they said yes. And I was like, okay, well now to find 300 people. And so it's just kind of having that blind faith that this thing is going to happen regardless of if you see it right now.
And I love the emphasis on who you surround yourself with and the things that you ingest, like media-wise, because I think a lot of us think of manifestation so much about what we tell ourselves and the thoughts that we have, but we don't necessarily think of how much those external factors can affect us and affect our manifestations and get in the way of what we see for ourselves. So that's a big thing too. So I know you're probably still coming off of the bodega high, but is there anything that you're currently working on? And if not, what can we expect from you in the near future?
So First, in terms of Bodega, it is about to go into the festival circuit. So it just screened at the Bush Film Festival, and it was sold out there, which was really cool. And so I'm hearing back from a few more festivals in a few weeks, and so it should be screening at a lot of them in the fall, which I'm really excited about. In terms of like other projects I'm working on, actually at the premiere, someone approached me and was like, hey, like I'm the co-creator of a lesbian TV show called Man-Hating Lesbians. And they were like, I want you to look at the script and let me know what you think, because I really think that you'd be the perfect director for this. And I was like,
you're like
me? Yeah, no, it was so exciting. And so they sent me the script and we had a few meetings, and I was like, yeah, I want to do this. So we're shooting at the end of August. So I'm really, really excited about that. I am writing some stuff independently. Yeah. I want to produce at least one more of my own films by the end of the year. So yeah, and then, you know, just doing like shadowing programs and like continuing to learn more and like trying to learn from people who are doing it professionally and getting paid the big bucks so that I can do that, while still simultaneously producing my own work and making opportunities for myself. So yeah, that's kind of
I love that.
Few different things coming up.
Oh, I'm so excited to see what is next for you. You've already been giving such great advice throughout this entire episode, but do you have any last thoughts or last pieces of advice for any aspiring filmmakers, particularly women who are looking to break into the industry?
Yeah, I would totally say have audacity and have audacity with research. Because especially as a woman of color, they're going to discount you the second you walk into that door. You need to know your stuff back and front. Like front and back, you need to know everything there is to know about filmmaking. You need to know what it is, what it looks like to produce a film, what it looks like to direct a film. You need to know how each department works with each other department. And so you could either do that by working in different departments like I did, or by having coffee with as many people that you know that are doing what you want to be doing.
Right.
And I would also say, don't underestimate the power of peer-to-peer mentorship and peer-to-peer relationships. Because I think a lot of times people are like looking for the person that is like at the top of the game to like talk to. But honestly, like this film, Bodega, would not have happened without the peers that I worked with. And so I think it's like kind of taking each relationship and not necessarily discounting people for being like, oh, you're just a PA. Like, why would I really get close to you? I want to get close to the director. No, because you don't know. That PA could be the producer that wants to hire you as a director in 10 years. So I think it's like, you know, being able to be mindful that like these people around you can help create opportunities for you. And everything is a people industry. So just, you know, having audacity, doing your research and knowing how to talk to people and being like a genuine people person, like not just like reading books on how to influence people, but like genuinely being like, I want to know you as a person. Like you are someone that's important to me. I want to invest my time and energy in you, and I want to make sure that your dreams come true. How can I help you do that? It literally will take you far. And I mean, when people see that like you're there for them as a person, regardless of like what position they hold, whatever you want, they will help you to do. Yeah. And so I just think that's friendship in general. So yeah, I would really just say, to sum those three up, have audacity, do research, and be a people person.
Oh, I love that. You just did like a whole little course right there. Oh, that is perfect. Thank you so much.
Of course.
That is really great advice. And again, I can't wait to see what is in store for you, because you are amazing. Thank you so much for coming in and sharing your story, sharing your journey, and sharing all of your insights. Make sure to keep up with Sharik on social media and everything that she does. Everything will be linked in the description. And as always, thank you so much for tuning into this episode, and stay tuned next week for another episode of How She Did It.